Most people forget Italy flew an entire arsenal of World War II planes. From deadly torpedo bombers to sleek fighters that challenged the Allies, here's every Italian aircraft in the war. Biplane Fighters. Fiat CR-32 carved its name into history as one of Italy's most maneuverable fighters. It danced through the skies, a favorite among ace pilots for its agility. But by the start of the Second World War, progress had left it behind. Even so, Italian aviators pulled this aging workhorse into active combat across North Africa and Greece, pushing it beyond what anyone thought it could manage. Fiat CR-42 Falco, meaning Falcon, was a biplane design taken to its absolute peak. It was fantastically nimble in close-range dogfighting, giving it the edge under 13,000 feet. Even Britain's RAF respected its tight turn radius. But turning alone wasn't enough. Its speed lagged far behind newer models, making it a valiant but ultimately outdated presence in later battles. Imam Rowe, 44, was one of Italy's rarest fighters, a single-seat float plane born from an earlier reconnaissance craft. With limited production and a mission profile dedicated to protecting naval bases and running coastal patrols, this aircraft had a small but specific role. Its uniqueness lay in its ability to launch from water while still offering fighter capabilities. Monoplane Fighters. Fiat G50 Frexia emerged as Italy's first foray into fully metal low-wing fighter design. While reliable and strong in terms of airframe, it stumbled with armaments and lacked the protection of an enclosed cockpit. Though its performance couldn't match the enemy's evolving aircraft, it laid the groundwork for Italy's later generation of fighters. Macchi C-200 Sita, also called Lightning, was known for its ruggedness and quality craftsmanship. Its exceptional agility and resistance to damage made it beloved by Italian pilots. Its biggest setback wasn't its build, it was the underwhelming engine performance, especially at high altitudes, where it struggled to keep up. Regia 2000 Falco stood out as one of Italy's most modern fighter designs of the early war period. Strong performance and impressive construction techniques made it a star, yet mass production was denied, mostly due to the lack of self-sealing fuel tanks. Ironically, the aircraft enjoyed greater use abroad, serving in Sweden and Hungary. The Regia 2001 Falcon II introduced a major upgrade over its predecessor. Once equipped with the powerful German Daimler-Benz DB601 engine, the plane's entire identity shifted. It evolved into one of Italy's strongest fighter bombers and gained wide respect for mixing fierce performance with successful battlefield adaptability. Regia 2002 Ariete, or RAM, came into being when Germany's engine supply line thinned out. The fix was a new radial engine, and surprisingly, it worked. While no longer a pure air superiority fighter, the Ariete thrived in ground attack missions, especially during the critical Allied landings in Sicily in 1943. Series 5 Fighters, Late War. Macchi C-202 Folgore carried a reputation that made it the pride of the early war Italian Air Force. A perfect pairing of Italian airframe expertise with German engine performance, it could finally face off with Allied Spitfires on a more even playing field. For Italy, it marked a turning point in fighter viability. Macchi C-205 Veltro, also known as the Greyhound, was a true pinnacle of Italian World War II fighter development. With the upgraded DB605 engine and stronger layout, it was everything pilots wanted: fast, deadly, and well-built. Many of its own users even argued it was superior to contemporaries from Germany. Fiat G55 Centauro stands among the most formidable piston-engine fighters ever built. Powered by the DB605 engine, it performed so well that German intelligence rated it even higher than the famed Bf-109. Its only setback: it entered production too late to impact the war the way it deserved. Regia 2005 Sagittario fused beauty with lethality. Sleek, symmetrical, and aerodynamically refined. It boasted incredible speed and remarkable responsiveness in flight. Though barely a few were fielded before Italy's armistice, it was a masterclass in piston engine design, a last hurrah of pre-jet aviation in Italy. Heavy fighters and night fighters. Imam Ro, 57, was a twin-engine heavy interceptor aimed at boosting Italy's long-range air defense. It had speed and firepower on paper, but real-world problems like reliability and resource shortages crippled its deployment. Consequently, combat use was minimal, overshadowed by the demand for more nimble single-engine fighters. Fiat CR-25 stepped up as a dual-engine platform used primarily for scouting and escort duties. Built rugged enough for long reconnaissance routes, it was especially useful in photographing and tracking enemy ships in the Med. While not a showstopper in combat, it did its job with quiet reliability. Caproni Vizzola F5 had all the makings of something special. With low weight and solid agility, it impressed during early trials and testing. But wartime reality stalled its full implementation. Only a small batch was ever produced, mostly serving as advanced fighter trainers rather than frontline machines. Before we dive into the next aircraft, quick question for you. Which of these Italian warplanes do you think was the most underrated? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. And hey, if you're enjoying this aviation deep dive, don't forget to like the video and hit that subscribe button. There's a lot more coming your way. Medium and torpedo bombers. Savia Marchetti SM-79 Sparviero may be the most recognized Italian warplane of all. Nicknamed the Sparrowhawk, this rugged trimotor made its greatest impact as a devastating torpedo bomber. Naval opponents across the Mediterranean learned to dread its deadly strikes and sheer reliability. Savia Marchetti SM-81 Pipistrello was already an antique by the time war resumed in 1939. Originally built as a medium bomber, this trimotor continued on in quieter roles, transporting troops, flying night raids, and delivering cargo far behind enemy lines, often through unfriendly airspace. Savia Marchetti SM-84 aimed to improve on the SM-79's base design. In practice, though, it was less stable and more difficult to fly, a challenge that offset its improvements in defense and armament. Pilots often preferred the devil they knew over this more temperamental upgrade. Fiat BR-20 Cicogna briefly joined the epic Battle of Britain, but found itself underwhelming against better-protected Allied bombers. It handled rugged environments well, so its later use shifted eastward. Japan even acquired a few units for operations in Asia, where it served in support roles. Cant Z1007 Alcyon made a name for itself as a wooden-framed trimotor that could soak up abuse and still fly. It took part in grueling bombing missions and reconnaissance runs over multiple fronts, including North Africa and the Balkans. Lightweight construction turned out to be its odd strength. Cant Z1018 Liaison chased the dream of building a refined, modern twin-engine bomber. Its all-metal stressed skin ticked the right boxes on paper, but production delays cost it relevance. By the time it was ready, the war's main action had passed it by, and the Liaison never got a true chance to shine. Heavy bombers. Piaggio P-108 stood alone as Italy's singular four-engine heavy bomber. Capable of long-distance missions and powerful payloads, it was technologically ahead, but too few ever made it to service. Used for maritime patrols and night attacks, it hinted at a future Italy never got to realize. Dive bombers and ground attack aircraft. Breda Ba 65 was a low-wing single-seater meant for close ground assault. It had a solid role during the Spanish Civil War, performing effective dive bombing runs. With the outbreak of World War II, however, it faltered. Slow speed and poor armor meant it couldn't survive against modern air defenses. Breda Ba 88 Linz should have been a standout, with high speed and sleek design. But reality was cruel. Once armed and equipped, it turned sluggish and unpredictable. So many issues surfaced that most units saw barely any service before being withdrawn entirely from the battlefield. Savia Marchetti SM-85 took a different tack as a twin-engine dive bomber. Unfortunately, mechanical fragility and poor performance made it an albatross. Operational failures came swiftly, and the plane spent little time at the front before Italy retired it in favor of more reliable options. Caproni Ca. 314 attempted to be everything at once: light bomber, reconnaissance platform, and transport. It filled many of those roles capably, especially in the Mediterranean. With decent endurance and workable loadout options, it stayed useful longer than many other aircraft in its class. Seaplanes and flying boats. Cant Z50-1 Gabbiana wasn't fast or well-armed, but it was relentless. This long-range flying boat handled search and rescue missions, coastal patrols, and anti-submarine work. What it lacked in power, it made up with extreme endurance and sheer reliability. Cant Z506 Aeron combined speed and seaworthiness in a way few hydroplanes managed. Whether rescuing down pilots, scouting the ocean, or participating in bombing raids, this sleek three-engine aircraft became a legend in Italian maritime aviation circles. Fiat RS-14 operated as a twin-engine float plane tailored for long overwater missions. Its durability and range made it ideal for submarine hunting and naval reconnaissance, and it stayed in active use until Italy's armistice, proving itself vital to the Regia Aeronautica's waterborne eyes. Imam Rowe 43 filled a very specific slot: ship-launched reconnaissance. It was small, distinctive, and launched by catapult from battleships. Though lightly armed, it played a major role in early naval encounters by providing critical spotting and target coordination. Caproni Ca. 316 branched from its 300 series brethren with an emphasis on coastal defense. A float plane through and through, it mostly ferried messages, mapped coastlines, and ran errands for shore commands, quiet but consistent in its contribution. Land-based reconnaissance. Caproni Ca. 309 Ghibli was built for colonial policing, but found new life in wartime recon. Light, twin-engined, and purpose-built for desert ops, it flew extensively during Italy's campaigns in North Africa, often as the first aircraft into a new zone. Caproni Ca. 310 Leipzig emerged early in the war as a foreign export success, but its combat value faded quickly. While it served in multiple theaters, Italy largely relegated it to roles where speed and survivability weren't urgent, useful, but outdated. Caproni Ca. 311 offered better visibility for recon crews thanks to its highly glazed nose design. It was especially helpful for aerial photography and carried out many visual mapping assignments over contested ground, giving commanders a clear view of vital targets. Caproni Ca. 313 rounded out the light reconnaissance fleet as one of the most versatile types in use. An effective trainer and multi-role platform, it found its way into several export markets, proving itself reliable in a wide range of wartime applications. Imam Rowe 37 stayed in the fight long after its prime. A vintage biplane with strong bones, it was effective in Ethiopia and the early Desert War. Against advanced enemy fighters, though, it suffered dramatic losses, a hardy scout felled by modern speeds. Transport and liaison aircraft. Savia Marchetti SM-82 Marsupial did the heavy lifting of Italy's aerial logistics. Long-ranged and big-bodied, it could carry massive payloads, even over distant fronts like the Soviet Union. When strategic missions needed reach and reliability, the SM-82 delivered. Savia Marchetti SM-73 was already on borrowed time when Italy joined World War II. Aging and slow, it still performed admirably on some of the war's most dangerous transport routes. This triplet-engine veteran moved essential people and supplies in and out of difficult zones. Savia Marchetti SM stood apart with its high wing and cavernous interior. Perfect for transporting troops and gear, it handled oversized or sensitive loads with ease. Though rarely seen in combat zones, it helped power the military's backbone of logistics. Savia Marchetti SM served as a workhorse, running supply routes and long-range hauls. Capable of being reconfigured for different mission sets, it was crucial for both tactical and strategic support, especially on less contested fronts. Savia Marchetti SM-83 was fast, sleek, and often used to escort or transport Italy's high command. Originally a civilian airliner, its speed ensured crucial dispatches and staff arrived on time, even when skies were contested by enemy aircraft. Fiat G12 arrived in the latter years of the war with a fresh mix of durability and range. Its tri-motor layout and reinforced design made it perfect for running complex operations after Italy's losses in North Africa. It became a central player in supporting shrinking Axis fronts. Caproni Ca 133 was a pre-war design that refused to bow out. Used across East Africa, it moved troops and freight with equal effectiveness. A true workhorse, aging, yes, but dependable when so many others weren't. Caproni Ca 148 took the CA 133's proven layout and gave it an upgrade. With better engines and a reinforced structure, it adapted easily to post-combat roles. Often seen in rear areas and training units, it kept operations running where newer planes weren't needed.